Okay, today we have for you a band known for its distinctive melodic guitar riffs, powerful keyboards, clever lyrics, and powerhouse vocals. Second Hand Mojo is a blues rock band out of Canton, Michigan, consisting of Vern Springer on guitar and vocals, Chuck Riepenhoff on vocals and lead, Brokaw on percussion, Marq Speck on keys, and James Hampton on bass and vocals. Here to chat with us about the band's latest release, whatever you've got in mind, let's welcome Vern Springer. Vern, how are you, man?
Good. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a little while since we chatted, definitely. So tell us about the latest single you guys got out now, whatever you got in mind.
So this one came about from a riff I'd had for, a bunch of years that I kind of set aside and not done anything with. And one day we're getting ready for rehearsal to start up, and I started playing it, and Scott joined in, and then as the fellas came along, they joined in as well, and then it came together pretty quickly. Right, the whatever you got in mind, I had that in my head as well, and then Chuck put the lyrics and the melody to it, and then it just it's a Mojo tune. It's pretty organic the way it comes about. A lot of our stuff comes that way because we tend to jam a little bit before we get started.
Yeah, I was reading it's usually like a collaboration for you guys. Somebody has a riff or some ideas, and you kind of just flesh it out a little bit during your rehearsals usually, right?
Yep. There's sometimes they come full, right? You bring them to the band and whatnot. And it comes from all of us because we all write. But like the first EP we did, that was stuff that I had written before, and the guys come in, we put our spin on it and did that. And then these ones here for this set of recordings have all pretty much come in this fashion, right? Where we had start with something and just kind of work from there, right? In the beginnings of rehearsal or at the end of rehearsal, it kind of hits you whenever it hits you. So it's nice to play with a bunch of guys that can just pick up and go and try and take it somewhere.
Yeah, and jamming out live music, as we're seeing now, that's become more and more of a debate lately, and it's brought back in the spotlight recently, right? Back in the day, we had the lip singing thing with Milli Vanilli. They got their stuff taken away because that was a no-no back then. But now it seems it's almost like an accepted practice in certain circles, obviously in pop. And in rock, the backing tracks seem to be crazy with some of these bands as well. So I just don't know where we're going with that with live music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the beauty for us is that we play it live, right? We sing it live. All five of us can actually sing, right? And so part of the fun of this band is if you notice on a lot of our stuff, we have big harmonies, right? Now this one has a little bit of layering and things like that in the live version, or I'm sorry, in the studio version, but live it's big harmonies, the whole 9 yards. We like that kind of sound, always have. And as far as backing tracks, the only song we have any kind of backing track of any kind on is actually in the intro to Sister Surrender, and it's just it's a '68 Camaro, actually.
So that's an effect. That's more of an effect. That's not like a track. That's not like you're hearing bass lines and somebody standing there not playing the bass, aka Nikki Sixx, some Motley Crue or something like that. Or like we saw today, there were some pictures. I don't even know who the singer was, holding his microphone backwards. Right, and singing, and people are they okay with that? I mean, I'm not okay with that personally. We've seen the ticket prices for things grow like crazy, and I'm one of those people that I want to hear the live music. If you're going to make some mistakes and some whatever, that's fine. But I'm paying to see live music. I mean, if I want to hear the recordings, I can stay at home.
Well, I think so too, and me personally. It's that tightrope act that I kind of like to see, and I like the energy that it gives to us too. That way, that look, it's not a perfect science by any means, and it could fall on its face, or it could be something just awesome, and that not knowing is part of the fun.
Right? Because sometimes you can ad lib a little bit, right? While you're doing it live, and maybe the solo isn't exactly the same, but maybe you add a little something in to make it spice it up a little bit more. You know what I mean? But this crazy thing that's happening, and it's almost seemed to be accepted by a lot of the fans now. I'm seeing out there. If I'm paying $1,000 a ticket to see Paul McCartney, I want to hear it, as he's singing it, we know, Paul's, in his 80s, I think now,
Yeah.
and he's not perfect all the time either, but still, I mean, come on, right?
Warts and all is what makes it, what it is, right? It's rock and roll. I don't know that it's supposed to be perfect, right? Now
that's what they say, right? It's not supposed, exactly.
Well, and we're well rehearsed and whatnot. And we put a tight show together, and actually, that's one of the comments that we hear all the time. Especially when you play with other musicians or whatnot, they're like, you guys are really tight. And that makes a big difference to us on how we feel about it. If it's smooth, at least, then you can work over a bad note here, a bad note there, even a section that gets a little followed, right? If you're listening to each other and paying attention, you can recover it, and the only people that really know are us. But I do like, personally, when I go to see a band, I the guy who did it the most, that would be in maybe that pop category. I liked the things that Sting did with his stuff. Right. I saw him live 7 times, and I don't think I saw him play the song the same way any one of those times. It's fun to explore that, especially this batch of songs, because of we had a bit of an odd year last year, and so because of personal stuff, it just so it made it kind of difficult to do some things we want to do. We played all our shows and all that, but we didn't really have a lot of energy, or at least I didn't, especially energy that I could devote to writing and doing some of those exploration stuff that we would normally would like to do. So this is, like I say, it's a very tight sound. It's a very tight set, and it's fun to see where it goes, right? And when the crowd's going too, that's a whole other thing. Especially when you play to audiences that are familiar with it. There are a few venues that we go to where it's the kind of the same familiar faces or whatnot. They know the songs, they know what to expect, and it's fun to have that back and forth with them. Right.
Yeah. Having that live energy from the crowd, and then the band, it just kind of feeds off each other doing that. And it, like you said, warts and all, sometimes mistakes are going to be made and things like that. I think Eddie Van Halen said one time, his father told him, if you make a mistake, do it twice so they'll think you meant it. Right.
Yeah, that's an old adage for sure. Yeah. For us, like I say, it's kind of a thing. We're pretty set in the arrangements and whatnot, not for any other reason than that's the way we learn them and play them. But it's fun sometimes. Like the intros to the songs are typically different, because there's little segues in a lot of the songs, whether it's myself noodling on guitar or Q, the piano thing going to like All About You or something like that. It leads you there. That's kind of the fun part for me in the show, some of that stuff. The solos, I usually go into when we record without any preconceived notion, right? And I work them out as we're there, which is nice, because then it seems a little more spontaneous. I think that energy and that fear, right, carries over on that too.
Right.
And when we play them live, sometimes it's fun to do something a little different here, just to entertain yourself, because you've been playing these songs for a long time.
Right. Yeah,
so
definitely.
that makes a difference too. And our catalog is big enough now of our just originals that we can do stuff like that.
Yeah. You guys have quite a few tracks out there. Is there any musicians or performers, would you say, maybe either past or even current, maybe, that have influenced you or maybe influenced your sound?
Yeah. Ours, if you listen to anything we do, you can kind of hear it. You can kind of pick them out for sure, right, as a band. But me personally, I'm a big Stones guy, right, for the guitars. I'm a big Keith Richards guy. I'm a Pink Floyd guy. I love David Gilmour's phrasing, because nobody phrases like him. Right. It's not terribly complicated. It's mostly pentatonic stuff, but nobody phrases like that guy. I like all the Southern rock stuff. I mean, every single bit. I eat that up with a spoon. And then I'm a blues guy, right? So those are kind of my personal influences. As far as more popular stuff we do or whatnot, Beatles, ELO, right? Anything good, like Humble Pie. I really like Humble Pie because I like the rhythmic stuff.
Right.
And the guys all have different influences. Scott's a dyed-in-the-wool 80s hair metal guy, right?
Yeah.
Q is a prog rock guy, right? He's a big, ELP and, stuff like that. And then I think out of all of us, right, Chuck is probably the most current musically, right? I don't listen to the radio an awful lot, right?
Right.
There's not a lot I want to hear on there right this minute. That doesn't mean that my kids don't bring me something, or I don't hear something in a store or whatnot. I go, oh, well, I'm going to look into this. And then James is a jazz guy. He's just a phenomenal, well thought out player. He's one of the more melodic bass players I've played with.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to kind of get your take on is another thing that's been raising its head a lot, and obviously, going all over the place from music to video to art to everything is AI, right? But we've starting to see more AI. I don't know if you want to call it music or if you want to call it, backing tracks or influence. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff lately. I've seen, artists have, an AI track dropped in their profile on Spotify that they didn't do anything with, that they didn't create. Yeah. I've seen that happen. And then I think a couple months ago, they even started, advertising a so-called AI artist, like, and showing pictures of this so-called person, like going through the city, having coffee, like saying this was like a real person. This is just getting a little bit creepy and crazy for me to see this. What's your take on that?
Well, anybody who's seen the Terminator movies know that it's not good. So
right. That's what Ron Keel was saying to me the other day. He's like, the Terminator's gonna raise its head here one day. It looks like.
I was at a conference a while ago for Oracle, and they were talking about this self-healing autonomous database. And I'm in there with a bunch of geeks, and they've got their heads down, they're typing away and whatnot. And then I heard him say, and I'm looking around, and I'm the only head that's up. I'm like, did nobody hear he just said Skynet? So,
right.
Yeah. As far as the art stuff, I think it's terrible. So here's the thing: so many things have happened to musicians and artists, period, lately, financially, that it's impossible to make a living in this business. It just is, right? And now this is just another thing, right? So the issue is they kind of this is going to sound like the old band on the get off my lawn, but they've been doing this for a while. They've been leading to this for a while with the manufactured boy bands and pop princesses and 50 producers and 6 lyricists that have 5 words in a song and all this just ready-made sampling, all that kind of fun stuff. And really, this is where it was headed.
Yeah, right?
And it's dreadful. I mean, it's dreadful. I think it's amazing the stuff that they could be using it for. I just wish they'd leave us alone on this one, right? Let the people do it. The beauty of it is, in the end, you can hear the difference. You literally can.
Yeah, right? Well, there's no emotion behind it. I mean, eventually, scary. There probably will be some type of programmed emotional responses at some point, but to hear a good song and to hear that emotion, or to have that emotion invoked from the listener from hearing that song, I think I don't think we're going to see that. And if we do see that, that's going to make me very concerned. Yeah. Yep.
Well, between that and the fact that they can replicate you and your sound, mathematically, it's not the same. Again, the feel will be different. AI can't improvise, right? It's built a certain way. It's mathematic. It's algorithmic, right? And so there's a certain amount of that'll just be out, right? But music is a math exercise, anyways, right? So in every way, shape, and form. So I mean, I understand why they would go this direction, but it's just it staggers the imagination. Where it really started to get off track, like I say, is when they started processing people out of the mix. Right. I think the computer recording and stuff has made it great because there's a lot more people can have access to it, but it's also watered down the quality because back in the day when you cut tape, you had to be super tight in the studio because you couldn't just back it up and go again.
Right. Time was money, and that tape. Yeah, if you had to redo something, or if they had to cut it and edit it with your takes. Yep.
And so nowadays, even in the stuff that we do, it is you have to really watch to make sure that you're not editing that way, right? You don't want to change the sound, you don't want to change the rhythms or whatnot. Is there some alignment stuff that goes on in everybody's stuff? Yeah, absolutely, right. Otherwise it wouldn't sound
right.
And some of that is an artifact of the computer, but the other part too is that bands like us can afford to record without label backing and stuff, and right now there is just none of that anyways, right?
Yeah. And then from what I hear from so many different artists, there obviously are some labels out there, that are still signing and still bring on bands. There's no money really that they're going to make out of that, and still, unless they start selling their music or selling their merch. Because everything's like so expensive, tripled in price. Like I was speaking to Don Dock, and he was talking about it. Hotels are triple. Every gas is triple. Everything's like triple the amount. So if the listeners think the artists are making money on this stuff, it is extremely, extremely difficult. I would say even to break even.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's not a money making venture. It just isn't. It used to be years ago, right? And even live stuff is getting more complicated.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Because if you get on any show that's a big show, like, either Live Nation type stuff or whatnot, they're going to take a proceed of everything you make.
Oh, a huge chunk. And they take chunks of merch too.
Yeah.
They take chunks of the artist's merch, which is kind of only the real way kind of left to make a couple bucks. And, and the thing is, like, you gotta pass that onto the consumers, those prices of all those things. And, I mean, it's just crazy what we see. I don't think people really get it, because I see so many people and complain, and I'm one of them too, right? You complain that the ticket prices for this or that are so outrageous. Well, folks, the reason that is because they're not making any money on music anymore.
Yep.
The record companies sold them all out, sold all their rights to the streaming services. They make like I was talking to Mike Fitz from Bad Marriage or one of the other artists. You make like 2 or 3 cents. Maybe on a stream.
So for between the video, which YouTube pays now too, which is good, right? So the videos, because you remember the one we had, it's $1.5 million. The other one was like 500,000.
Yeah,
right?
You have to have like 3 million views to make a couple bucks.
Well, and here's the thing: between that and the actual streaming online and all the different platforms and stuff like that, I want to say that we might have gotten back, I don't know, $1,200 most, right? All that stuff. Now, keep in mind that recording costs X, promotion costs X, the video costs X.
Right. So you're not really making it back. You're not even breaking even, probably.
No. Well, the video for Good Vibes, right, which is just us playing live essentially we threw a party, right? For friends and family and stuff like that. I had a food truck there, and we did a bunch of stuff, but it was 3 17-hour days to do that. Right.
Wow.
And because
how many people did you have shooting you for that?
It was just 1 or 2 cameras at all time, but it was to have all the people there, all the work that goes into setting up the stage and all the sound gear, because we did play there too, right?
Right.
And then having stuff for the folks because we wanted it to be a party, and then I had a food truck come in so people could get fed, and
right.
So, but I think I got probably, I don't know, $5,000 into it.
Right.
Right. And that doesn't include my time, right, or the guys' time. We just gave our time to do the stuff.
Right, because you wanted to create a cool, exciting video and have everyone have a good time. Yeah.
Well, and it did all of that, right? It's went well with it, and we want to do more videos in the future and stuff like that. But and again, last year was kind of goofy, so that's part of the reason, right? It's just we didn't do videos for these other ones. But going forward, I think we want to do that again because we had so much fun doing it, and there's creative stuff we could be doing. Right. That's another way to just grow your audience, because really, with some Google ads, which is very little cost, right? You're able to get that stuff, and it's organic. It's not something where you pay the service to do it or whatnot. You just put ads out there, figure out your SEO, and go. Now we have people that help us with that. We pay for promotion, we pay for a bunch of stuff. But in the end of the day, it's a not a money making proposition. You do this because you can't imagine yourself without it.
Right. And I know so many bands are struggling with this like crazy, and just trying to get money together for, like you're saying, for PR and advertising, just to kind of make it to that slot, because you have to worry about that, and then you have to worry about getting streams or getting on playlists. I mean, that's the only way you're gonna get your music out there, or if you send it to, get it on different stations and things like that. Like I'm on Rock Rage Radio now, so we play, all the different.
Congratulations, by the way.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. So we play all kinds of artists on there, but it's so difficult, but advertising is really seems to be the only way to get your stuff in front of other eyes.
And it's fairly inexpensive, but it's knowing how it's done. Now we're fortunate, Gina, right? So Gina handles that stuff for us. It really takes a village to make the Mojos go. Right. I mean, in all honesty, it's true, right? So, there's somebody there for my adult supervision. There's,
that might be the title of the next album. It takes a village. Maybe there.
It takes a village to raise the Mojos. That's right. But we have a gal who does art for us and stuff, and she's done video. We have other people that have done video for us and help with other promotion. The people who do the work at the recording studio and whatnot. I mean, it's enormous the amount of time that it takes to do this stuff, or manage the social media stuff, or the websites, and all that kind of fun stuff. It's several full-time jobs, if you're going to try and make that. Now, having said that, the benefits are there too. We've gotten bigger shows because of all this stuff, and bigger deals and all that kind of fun stuff. So it's a grind, man. It's old school, right? It is what it is. I went and saw Blackberry Smoke recently.
Yeah, yeah, I really like them. Yeah,
A huge fan, and Michigan was one of the first places that really took to them, right? And so they consider it kind of their home away from home. They played the Machine Shop over and over and over again. So, but went and saw them at a place up in Saginaw, the Temple Theater, which if you ever get a chance, it's a great venue, right? But they're still the same guys, still doing the same thing, grinding it out. Now they've had some success. They've got CMA awards and a bunch of other stuff, and they've been touring nonstop. Right. But those guys aren't killing it dollar wise either. Right. It's just one of those things. The Allman Betts Band, another one of my favorites. Right. They've got money from when the Allman Brothers were around. The kids do a little bit and their parents left it to them. But, they've got a ton of good songs and they do a lot of stuff with other folks. But they're road warriors too, because that's the only way that you can build up a consistent dollar value. Right?
Yeah, I just hope with all this crazy stuff going on with AI being the easy way and the price of things, I just don't want to see live, real, what I would say real music, be a thing of the past at some point. I hope it's not.
I'm here in Detroit where ELO got busted for their fake show.
Yeah.
And,
So, I love ELO. I love them, definitely. Yeah.
Well, you can outgrow your sound too, and then you're screwed, right? One of the things that we're fortunate, we want to play it live. We want it to sound like us live and all that fun stuff. And again, there's some layering and some stuff like that, but there's no crazy studio tricks or any of that stuff here too, right? Because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think maybe they should just put that in like fine print on there. Like you may hear backing tracks during these performances, or you could put it in there in small print, I guess, right? And and everybody should be happy, right? I don't know.
We should maybe start writing about ex-girlfriends and stuff like that.
There you go.
And using
a lot of artists write about ex-boyfriends, so why not, right?
Which she netted 1.2 billion last year or something.
Right. But people like it when you're trashing the guy. When you're trashing the girl, not so much.
Yeah, we'll find out quickly whether that's good or bad.
Right, exactly. So you got other songs in the works, other stuff you're working on at this point, or where's things with Second Hand Mojo?
We do. We have, after this one, there's 3 more that we're going to release. So I don't know if we're going to release them individually or release them as a group. And then really what we want to do also, because people have been asking for vinyl, people, stuff like that is starting to make, because vinyl's really starting to be a thing at shows. I kind of want to take the first EP and the second EP and put them together and with the one we released in the middle of the pandemic and go, this is like we'll call it Volume 1, Mojo Volume 1 or something like that.
Right, some type of bundle, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that'd be fun. And I'm writing right now. We're done for this year, but our next show is January 9th, right? So it's not that far out. But I'm writing right now. I know the other guys are writing and waiting on that. And then we're going to get together, hash a bunch of these out, and then we're going to test them live like we always do, right? And then the ones that feel good and do well, right, will be the ones that make the cut. We'll add more here and there between now and when we actually do the next recording. But I think the plan is to do another recording again too, and be able to promote it during the summer and whatnot. So.
Excellent. That sounds great. Definitely. Yeah. And so if folks out there want more information, you want to check out their music or see what's coming up for show dates, it's secondhandmojo.com, I believe, the site, correct?
Yep, absolutely. And then, we're on every streaming platform. We're on every social media you can get to. So, we'll just look at one of those. We'll be there.
All right, cool.
Or Google Second Hand Mojo and it all comes up, on Google.
Definitely. All right, Vern, definitely always a pleasure to speak with you, man.
You too, buddy. It's good to see you, and congratulations on the Rock Rage Radio. That's fantastic.
I appreciate you. All right. So that wraps up this episode of Talking About Rock. Thanks to my guest today, Vern Springer from Second Hand Mojo. And to our listeners, we hope you're doing your part by keeping the torch alive and supporting live music wherever you are. Vern, again, thanks, man.
You betcha. Thanks, buddy.